Hello and welcome to this Friday, June the 25th edition of UD Talks. Today I get to introduce to all of you a wonderful professor here on campus, a person who's a biologist and specializes in vaccines, Dr. Kelly Grusendorf. I look forward to her mini lecture about a subject that's on all of our minds. And while it's on our minds, I want to remind you that this coming fall, if you haven't been vaccinated, we encourage you to pursue that vaccine. And if for whatever the reason you haven't been able to get it, we will have vaccines on this campus free of charge for each and every one of you. So we look forward to hearing more from Kelly. We look forward to learning more from her. And I really look forward to welcoming all of you here on campus in just a couple weeks. Thank you.
Hi, so I'm Dr. Kelly Grusendorf. I'm a professor in the biology department, and I want to talk a little bit about COVID-19 and the vaccine development for it and why it's so important to use that vaccine and take the vaccine. So first, to do that, we have to go through a little bit of biology to understand kind of how that works. So just first, virus overall, viruses make us sick, right? So not all of them, but a majority of them that we know and that we care about, right, can make us ill. And the one that causes COVID-19, right, affects our respiratory system. So we get that virus by being exposed to it. It enters into our body and goes into our lungs. And when it goes into our lungs, what happens is that virus actually gets into our cells. And when it gets into that part of our body, right, it manipulates the system, okay, and replicates, and eventually kills some of our cells. And that's what makes us sick, right? We get this sick feeling because we're getting damage to our body. And also, the other thing that makes us feel sick is that because we have something that's in us that's not normally there, our immune system works to attack it, right? So our body says, that's not supposed to be here, let's go kill that, let's go get rid of that, okay? So to understand how the vaccines work, we have to go a little bit more about biology. So just like us, viruses are similar in that we're both made of genetic material. That genetic material determines us, determines the virus. So for humans, our genetic material determines things like hair color, eye color, height, our personality, all of those fun things. Well, viruses have genetic material too. And that genetic material is responsible for making that virus shape, right, and making new baby viruses, right, the ones that spread all over and make us ill. And one of the things that the virus makes, specifically the one that causes COVID-19, is this spike protein, which I've shown here in red. Okay? And that spike protein is important because that's what we have developed vaccines against. To understand the vaccines that we're using, we need to go through 3 different types of examples, right? No vaccine, kind of our old school vaccine, and then our new vaccine. So if we don't have a vaccine, what happens is we get exposed to that virus, gets into our body, right? Eventually our body recognizes, hey, that's not supposed to be here, and it takes a little bit, right? It takes a little bit to respond, and it makes these things called antibodies, okay? Antibodies go and find that foreign thing, that virus, and they send off the signal and attack it and kill it. So how vaccines work is really we're prepping the body for the chance of infection. Old school vaccines, just like the flu vaccines in the history and everything before the ones for COVID, what we would do is we would take part of that virus, okay, just a little part, not the whole thing, right? We don't want to cause a person to be sick. We're just giving them part. For example, that spike protein. Inject that into the person, okay, and the person then makes antibodies against it. So then if that person actually gets the real virus, they already have them. They already have these attacking components that recognize it, right? So they attack and kill right away. So then you don't get sick. The new vaccines for COVID-19 are very, very similar. What happens though is that instead of part of it, right, we're actually injecting the information to make that. So we get injected with genetic material, right? That's gonna then make that spike protein within the body, and then we make the antibodies. So it adds one more step, right? And the reason why this is so new and so great, right, is because it's easy to adapt and we can easily make it for different types of vaccines, okay? This process takes a long time to go through and to develop. So this is a little bit faster. However, this one, even though we're injecting the genetic material, our body will eventually get rid of that genetic material, right, and clean that out. So a common question or a common kind of concern about the vaccine is, why do I feel kind of cruddy the next day after getting the vaccine? Well, that's because you put something into your body, right, that's not normally there, right? And all for the purpose of making those antibodies. So your body is working to help build up, right, and prepare for this potential virus, right? So it takes a little bit, your immune system's reacting, right, and making you feel a little cruddy. However, by having just that little immune system reaction, that's a lot better than having the real thing exposed to you.